So today we're going to talk about a pretty fundamental shift in how we think. It's a way to get past all that friction that comes with being wrong and instead move into a state of, well, psychological freedom that's really anchored in a much deeper sense of wonder.
But let's start with a really simple, very human question. Why does being wrong feel so awful? You know that feeling, right? That little spike of defensiveness, that flash of embarrassment. It's a feeling every single one of us knows. But why? Why is it so powerful?
Well, the answer isn't really about your personality. It's much, much deeper than that. It's actually in our biology. It's rooted in the very architecture of our brains, which are, first and foremost, these incredible survival machines. I mean, just think about it from an evolutionary standpoint for a second. For our earliest ancestors, being able to accurately see reality wasn't a nice to have, it was a life or death skill. The ones who could correctly predict, where to find food or how a predator was going to behave, well, those were the ones who survived and got to pass on their genes. So over millennia, our brains literally evolved to place a huge value on being correct. And modern neuroscience actually has a pretty cool name for this. They call the brain a predictive engine. See, your brain isn't just passively sitting there taking things in. Nope. It's constantly, actively building this mental map of the world based on everything you've ever experienced, making predictions about what's going to happen next, and then using your senses to check if that map is accurate. The whole process is actually kind of beautiful in its simplicity. You've got a mental model of how things work, okay? Based on that model, you make a prediction. Then you get new information from the world through your senses. And then, and this is the most crucial part, you update your model. It's this constant, endless loop. So what about that uncomfortable feeling of being wrong? Well, neurologically, that has a name too. It's called a prediction error. It's a literal error signal firing off in your brain. It's basically nature's built-in alarm system screaming at you, hey, update your mat. The world is not what you thought it was.
But what happens when we refuse to update the map? What happens when our internal software just crashes? This is where we get into something called the ideology trap.
So for what we're talking about here, let's define an ideology as any fixed set of beliefs that you hold on to no matter what new evidence comes along. It's kind of like installing a firewall in your brain that blocks that natural update process. It just locks your mental models in place, and that's that. Now, when this happens, your brain doesn't just stop. It still sends out those prediction error signals, but instead of updating your belief, you start trying to twist and bend reality to fit the belief. And this creates a state of intense psychological friction called cognitive dissonance. And let me tell you, it is absolutely exhausting. It often bubbles up as anxiety or irritability or just being super defensive all the time. The source material puts this so beautifully, really illustrating the true cost of this. Your mind is no longer this clear mirror reflecting what's actually out there. Instead, it becomes a fortress, desperately defending a fantasy. What an exhausting way to live. And here, you can see the contrast laid out so clearly. On one hand, you have an ideological system. It's founded on tradition, which makes it rigid. And when it runs into an error, its first instinct is always denial. But on the other hand, you have an evidence-based system. It's founded on observation, which makes it dynamic and flexible. And its reaction to error? It's not denial. It's curiosity. It's investigation. One system fights to protect itself. The other just wants to get closer to what's real.
Okay, so how do we escape this trap? The turning point, the key, lies in embracing the simple but profound power of not knowing. Most of us have been conditioned our whole lives to think that being wrong is some kind of personal failure, that it's a sign of weakness or that we're not smart enough. But here's the pivot. What if we just flip that script completely? What if being wrong isn't a failure at all? What if every single time we realize we're wrong, it's actually a discovery, a moment where the universe just handed you a free lesson, a chance to make your math of reality just a little bit more accurate? And this is where those three little words, I don't know, become your superpower. When you can genuinely say, I don't know, it's not an admission of defeat. It is a declaration of intellectual courage. It's you signaling to yourself and to the world that you are ready to learn. And let me tell you, the reward for making this shift isn't just feeling a little less anxious. It unlocks something so much more profound, a deeper, more resilient, and more authentic kind of wonder.
This can lead to a mindset that some people call cosmic realism. And what is that? Well, it's a sense of awe that isn't based on ancient stories or on faith. It's based on the observable universe itself. It's about finding the sacred in reality, a reality that, frankly, doesn't need our belief to be absolutely magnificent. I just love how the source material puts this. The wonder you feel when you're looking up at the northern lights or just thinking about the mind-boggling complexity of DNA, that feeling is more resilient because it's verifiable. You don't have to believe in it, you just have to look.
And this whole way of thinking, it kind of builds to this truly profound realization. You're not just a person looking at the world. The very carbon in your body was forged in the heart of a star. You are, quite literally, a piece of the universe that has evolved to be able to observe and understand itself. Think about that for a second. So this isn't just some cool personal transformation. It actually has a much bigger purpose, especially right now, here in the 21st century. It's all about bringing our minds back to their intended function.
I mean, let's be real, we are absolutely swimming in an ocean of misinformation and algorithmic echo chambers designed to keep us angry and divided. In this kind of environment, a personal commitment to evidence-based thinking, well, it stops being a personal preference. It becomes a moral imperative. It's a duty of responsible citizenship.
So why does having this clean lens matter so much? Well, for one, it's pretty much our only real path to solving massive, complex problems, from climate change to social division. It's our best shield against being manipulated in those echo chambers, and ultimately, it's what gives us the courage to see the world as it actually is, not just as we wish it would be. And this all brings us to the core thesis, the big idea behind all this. The mind was never meant to be some dusty storage locker for static, ancient dogmas. It was designed to be a clear, dynamic mirror, constantly and beautifully reflecting the ever-changing reality all around us. So I'll just leave you with one final thought, one question to take with you. In a world that is constantly trying to smudge it, to distort it, and to crack it, is your mirror clean?